Dan Forest is one of those guys that you pray will actually run for office. This is a man of integrity, of accomplishment, with pedigree and family that I'm certain he would strongly prefer not exposing himself to the junk he's had to go through. But he's got a vocation, he's got a calling, he's got an unction, if you will, for this leadership that he's taken on, this mantle that he carries so well. And I'm really honored to introduce Dan Forest as a guy who is leading this state, and I pray will continue to lead this state in ever greater roles going forward into a more prosperous and just future. Welcome.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. How y'all doing today? Great. All right, let's keep listen, it's an honor to be with you, and Jim, thank you very much for those kind words. My bonus today is to get to sit at a table with just some of my favorite people in the world who I didn't know I was going to be sitting with today, but it's great to see all of you guys, and I admire you all. Listen, here's the deal about what's been going on in North Carolina. I know, hey, Sam. Hey, Paul. I know you kind of get all the noise, you hear the background noise about what's going on. And a lot of times people just flat out get confused around political season, around election time, going, what is the truth? What's going on here with North Carolina? First, let me say that North Carolina is in fantastic shape right now. The state probably hasn't been in this good a shape in a long time, in many, many years. And you know, I like to remind people that the Democrats were in charge for 140 years. We've been here in charge for 3.5 years. But in that 3.5 years, really it started 5 years ago when the Republicans took control of the General Assembly. But in the last 3.5 years, I believe we have a better story in North Carolina than any other state in the United States of America. The challenge is you don't hear that story in the media. You don't see it on, if you're from Raleigh, you don't see it on WRL in the evening. You don't read it in the News and Observer. But the things that we've done really should be above the fold headlines. They really should be. They should read off the evening news in the evening, because as North Carolinians, we not only choose to live here, but we are proud to live here. We are proud of our state. You would think that there'd be some sense of pride in the media for the accomplishments that have gone on in the last few years, but there's really not, because they just have a political agenda to turn things back around and turn it back over to the people that were in charge for 140 years that gave them the power they had, the power that all leads to more money and all, you know, you could all follow every trail back to money for these folks. But it's kind of shameful, and there's a lot of things going on that I want to share with you. But here's what you're going to hear over the next few months in North Carolina. You're going to hear about the economy. How the economy is going in the wrong direction in North Carolina. How we need to go back to the way it was in North Carolina. You're going to see commercials like that. But let me just share a couple facts about really the first rail of the campaign here. The first rail is economy, and here's really what it looks like. When Republicans took control a handful of years ago in North Carolina, we inherited a $3 billion deficit. You probably remember that if you were paying attention politically back then. You know what we didn't do? We didn't do what Democrats have done for all those years and raise your taxes to foot the bill for that deficit. We said, no, we're going to right-size government, we're going to make it more efficient, and we did that, didn't raise your taxes. Then we came back and capped the sales tax and repealed the sales tax, $1.5 billion back in your pockets for sunsetting the sales tax that the Democrats created. And then we came back the next session and did comprehensive tax reform in North Carolina. 34 states tried it. North Carolina was the only one that was successful. That was a remarkable record. We moved from 44th in the nation in business tax climate to 15th in the nation in 1 year. The largest one-year leap in the United States. That'll actually be 13th in the nation next year. Continuing to tell the business leaders in America that North Carolina is open for business. And because of that, we cut the income tax, both personal and corporate. Personal income tax is about 33% less than it was when we took office. Corporate income tax is less than half. We're at 3% now in North Carolina. We are the lowest corporate income tax in the United States of America of any state that has a corporate income tax. Goal would be to get it to zero. I mean, my goal personally is to get it to zero. on the way to do that. We've already started to make that transition to service-based tax system, service and sales tax, so consumption-based. But we're on the road. We're on the road to doing that. We paid back $2.8 billion in debt over the federal government for unemployment insurance. Paid it back in record time. No other state's ever paid a debt back like that fast. The government doesn't want you to do that, by the way, because they like the interest you pay to them. We didn't like that. So not only did we pay back $2.8 billion in debt, we also said we're going to put $2 billion away in the rainy day fund for unemployment so it doesn't go broke again. That's what fiscal conservatives do. They do those kinds of things, and that's what we did. We also put over $1.5 billion away in the rainy day fund for the state. So we continue to pay down debt. We continue to put money away for the rainy day fund in case we hit hard times again, and that's a responsible thing to do as well. So I could go on and on and on and on about all the foundational things that we've done in just a few years under Republican control in North Carolina. The media doesn't want to tell you this message, but 300,000 new jobs have been created just in the last 3 years alone in North Carolina. The 6th highest job growth rate in the nation in that period of time. Unemployment rate's been cut in half in our state in that period of time, but again, nobody wants to tell you that we're moving in the right direction in our state. So I'll leave that there on the table where it is. The second rail is obviously education. We gave teachers the largest raise in the United States of America. A lot of people won't tell you that. We came back the next year and gave them a $750 bonus, and then we said, you know what, we're also going to increase starting teacher pay from $30,000 to $35,000 because that's what the teacher said was most important. Then we came back and said, you know what, we're going to give teachers another raise, and we got teacher salaries above $50,000 for the first time, average salary for teachers across North Carolina, above $50,000 for the first time in state history. We're also at $67,500 total compensation for teachers right now in North Carolina. How many of you knew that? $67,500 average teacher compensation in North Carolina. You don't hear that, do you? So that's a story that I think is good news. And then in 3 years from now, average teacher pay goes above $55,000. And at that point in time, we'll be a 20% increase in teacher pay since we took office. 20%. Does that sound like we're cutting teacher pay and laying teachers off? You know, elections are about choices, right? Elections are about choices, and you go back to Democrat control just a few years ago, and you'll find that in the last year of the last administration's term, they cut K-12 education by $1.25 billion. In their last year, 2010. $1.25 billion, the same year we won elections, or Republicans won elections in the General Assembly, but they also laid off 4,200 teachers. You hear that in the media? Don't hear that story, do you? Isn't that amazing? That's amazing. It makes you happy, doesn't it? It's shocking, isn't it? So what do? We came back and we put $2 billion back into K-12 education. We spend more on K-12 education now than we have ever spent in the history of North Carolina. We're in the process of getting all of our classrooms connected to high-speed broadband across the state. We'll be the first state in the nation to do that, bridging the gap with education opportunity for our poorest kids. We created school choice options across the board. We lifted the cap on charter schools in North Carolina. We're seeing charter schools explode. We're creating choice and opportunity for parents. So parents have the opportunity to choose where their kids get educated, so the government's not in control of that situation for parents. It's shameful in America that we don't provide choice and opportunity for parents in education. You know, the Democrats love choice for everything except education, right? Not education. They'll give them a choice. Government schools are the only way to go. And so we're providing choice there in a lot of different ways, and a lot of great schools out there. And Bob Letty, thank you for everything you do to help make North Carolina great in that regard as well. So I could go on about that, but I'm not. And suffice it to say, again, elections are about choices. If you look back to the previous administration, you compare it to this one, hands down, we've done far more. So, are we there yet? No. Is everything roses at this point? No. We have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of work to do in the economy, and we have a lot of work to do in education. But here's the deal. Here's the third rail. And the third rail is something they needed because the Democrats now can't win on education or the economy. Though I saw a new ad from Roy Cooper today lying about everything I just told you about. So you see the ads come out, just flat out lies about everything I just said, saying the opposite. That's the challenge that we face because there's no integrity in these commercials anymore. You can't trust what people say, and that's a shame that America has come to that. But here's the third rail. It's called HB2. HB2, the third rail. You can't win on the economy. You can't win on education. What do? It's election season. You create a third rail argument. Charlotte comes out and passes this radical bathroom policy that literally says, and a lot of people don't know this, you had to take the signs off your bathrooms, off your showers, off your locker rooms. How many of you knew that, by the way? That that's what the ordinance said. Raise your hand. Now raise it high so you can look around. No, raise your hand high, please. Look around, everybody look around. The Charlotte ordinance, there's like 5 hands going up. The Charlotte ordinance literally strikes through a provision that the Supreme Court has upheld for years, saying that it's okay to have sex discrimination in bathrooms and locker rooms and showers, meaning you can have a male, female, boy, girl, man, woman sign on your bathrooms. Charlotte struck through that provision saying that's not okay. That's now called sex discrimination, effectively saying to the schools and businesses in North Carolina, you have to take, or in Charlotte, you have to take the signs off your bathrooms. Opening up all facilities then for a man to follow my wife into the bathroom, for a man to follow my daughter into a shower facility or in a locker room, or a high school boy to shower with a high school girl. Does that sound extreme to you in America today? How many of you know that the person that actually pushed the transgender bathroom ordinance through Charlotte City Council is a registered sex offender? Oh, there's more hands. That's good. That's good. At least you know that, right? So when we start getting blowback about saying we're talking about predators going in a facility, why is that a far stretch from the very first person that pushed that through the Charlotte City Council was a registered sex offender? So here you have it. Here's what HB2 did. It said you can't take the signs off your bathrooms. It said you have to go to the bathroom of your birth certificate. And it said, you can't, Charlotte, you can't tell private businesses what to do. They have the right to do whatever they want. So that's the hypocrisy of corporate America right now related to this issue. PayPal is the great example, right? You know what? They didn't leave North Carolina. No other business has left North Carolina. We keep getting these hits of things that aren't going to happen. Certainly the pull out of the NBA, pulling the All-Star game out, that hurts. Certainly the NCAA, it hurts. You know what? But we're not going to put a price tag on our women and children in North Carolina. So extortion is not going to work, but I want to leave you with this thought related to HB2 because I think that a lot of people say, well, why did you compromise? Well, first of all, Charlotte broke the law. They had no authority to do what they did. But second, here's the deal. America is a nation of reasonable accommodation. We always have been. Thinking back through history of all conscientious objectors in the military is reasonable accommodation. But think about ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act. You're all familiar with that. In 1990, when Congress passed ADA, you know what they didn't do is they didn't go to all businesses across America and say every single one of your parking spaces needs to be handicap accessible. Every one of your bathroom stalls has to be handicap accessible. Every entrance to your building has to be handicap. They didn't say that. You know what they said? They said you need to provide reasonable accommodation for a small minority of people who truly do have disabilities that need to enter your facilities to be able to use your facilities. Provide them reasonable accommodation. And that's what we did. We spent billions and billions of dollars. I'm an architect. I worked on this for many years. Billions of dollars upgrading facilities and creating new facilities that were handicap accessible. That's what we did. That was a good thing, right? That's what HB2 did as well. HB2 said if you're a transgender person, you're somebody that fears going into a public facility, you know what? You need to provide them reasonable accommodation, a single stall, lockable facility that allows them to do that. That is reasonable accommodation for 1/1000th of the population in North Carolina or anywhere else that still protects the 99.999% of the people in our state. That's just reasonable. That is the compromise. There's nothing wrong with that. Right? So where in the world have we come in America where the most important issue to the federal government, to the Department of Justice, to the President is what shower facility a man and a woman use? This is ridiculous conversation. Governor didn't want this. The General Assembly didn't want this. This isn't something we wanted to take on. But it's something that we had to do. So unfortunately, that's the third rail. That is the argument for the third rail, and that's why you see these attacks from the NBA, and that's why you see these attacks from the NCAA, because it's corporate pressure coming from the Human Rights Campaign. If you don't know who they are, you need to know who they are. They are the activist LGBT arm that funds all this stuff, and this is where it's coming from. So it only takes a phone call from a major corporation who sponsors an NBA event or an NCAA event to put the pressure on so they pull out of a place like North Carolina. But guess what? They have to go to one of the 28 other states who has the exact same law we do. Where are they going to go? To one of the 28 other states that has the exact same laws we do. The field gets narrowed down really quick of where they can actually go and have these events, but they don't care. Because it's not ideological. You know what? PayPal still does business in North Carolina. They still do business with the 28 other states that have the same law we do. They still do business in Saudi Arabia and Yemen, right? Where the LGBT community is not only persecuted, but they're executed for their beliefs. So that's what's going on right now. Is that crazy? That's what we're up against. So the fact that most of you have no idea what Charlotte's bathroom ordinance actually says, and you are the base of the base. You're the folks here that are supporting the efforts of what Civitas does to help them spread their message. And if you don't know it, guess what? Nobody else does either. And that's why you're here. So that's why you're doing what you do. So I want to say thank you for everything you do. Thank you for the investment you make in organizations like this. just to help us get the truth out. Because that's what it's a battle of getting the truth out. So thank you very much. God bless you all. Hope you have a great afternoon.